This is Gus Summers, and you're watching In-Show Celebrities. This is the time I take every Monday to talk about some of my favorite films and actors. This week, we have one of Hollywood's grandest actors. He is up in the stratosphere that very few actors ever reach. Of course, I'm talking about Mr. Harrison Ford. This wonderful actor started his career back in the 1960s. He came out to Hollywood and from there just started chipping away at what would become a fantastic career. He took big parts in movies. He ended up getting a contract at one of the local movie studios, again, giving him bit parts here and there. But it was a long, hard road. But eventually, he would make friendships out of some of Hollywood's best directors. And one of them would give him the break of a lifetime. Well, first up is that movie that gave him that break. Of course, I'm talking about Star Wars. You know, we know he plays Han Solo. He's a futuristic pirate, like a Lafayette, and he's pretty much just a self-centered, egotistical adventurer who's only in it for himself and a buck. And his only friend is his giant Wookiee named Chewbacca. That we know. He ends up being hired by Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan is an old Jedi who has been keeping an eye on Luke Skywalker since he was a child. Because later on, you know, as many of us already know, as the story goes, Obi-Wan was put in charge of taking care of Luke Skywalker. So he stayed with Luke throughout all his years as he grew older. So as we know, Princess Leia sends Obi-Wan a message that she needs help. He hires Han Solo to take them to Alderaan. And after some negotiations, we know they get to Alderaan. Then the Alderaan had been destroyed. And now they realize that they're in grave danger because the Empire has finally finished their Death Star, their planet killer. So now they know that this Death Star will be the end of the rebellion in case if nothing is done about it. And Obi-Wan instinctively knows through the Force that Luke has to be a part of all this. Well, we have huge cast of characters. Again, you know, I don't want to rehash the whole story because we know it. Because I want to point out a few things slightly different in regards to just reviewing the movie. Of course, we know we have Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, great. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Alec Guinness, you know, fantastic. Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher. Of course, Darth Vader, David Prowse, and voiced by James Earl Jones. So after the planet is killed, you know, they get captured. They're on the Death Star. You know, they hide and they find out that Princess Leia is there. They save her, and the whole time, Han Solo says, I don't want part of this. This wasn't what I signed up for. And Luke's saying, well, you know, she's a princess, she's rich, you can have a great reward. And so, you know, so he goes, okay. So he goes along. Again, I don't want to rehash the story. But one of the things that the film, you know, that I saw, many people saw, are the intangibles, the mentioning of the Force, the mentioning of, you know, intuition, you know, follow your path, destiny. You know, that's a big thing. Fate. You know, as we look at the movie, we see one aspect of it, which is really talked about, is fate, destiny. We see in the beginning that the ships, the Empire is shooting on Princess Leia's ship. She sends you know, the droids, C-3PO and R2-D2 down, you know, to send the message. You know, as we know, they crash and they get picked up to be sold, and they just happen to be sold to Luke Skywalker's uncle, and Luke Skywalker just happens to see the message, and he hears Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he says, I wonder if that's Ben Kenobi, and he goes looking for Ben Kenobi, who is Obi-Wan Kenobi, who happens to get the message and decides to go on this journey and knows Luke has to go with it. There are all these things that by chance, by fate, the whole thing is, destiny. Luke was destined to, meet Darth Vader, the Emperor, and all that. But one of the things that I really like, and I'm talking about all that because what I liked about Han Solo is he is the true humanoid, if you want to put it that way. We don't talk about Han Solo's destiny. We don't talk about if he's fated for anything. What I love about his character, and Harrison Ford portrays him this way, is that he is a man of free will. That he's the master of his own destiny, the captain of his own soul. He makes the decisions at the moment where you see all this. All the storyline that goes, that has a long past, long future. Here's Han Solo at the moment, making decisions of the moment by situations that are happening to him right now. If Luke Skywalker didn't say, she's a princess, she would be rich, you'd be like, yeah, I'm staying here. As soon as I get to my ship, I'm leaving. Or, there's a scene where Luke needs help, and here comes Han Solo after he had left. Because, we don't know what changed his mind, but we know that something changed his mind. And so we can guess that it was, friendship, loyalty, honor. The things that make humanity great is what I see in Han Solo, that he makes his decisions, that fate, that he's hovering around fate, and he says, well, fate or not, I'm going to do it. Which is, I think, one of the things that the character brings, one of the things that I think Harrison Ford has always been able to exemplify. You see that the choices that he makes and the character, and especially this character, comes through. Great actor. Great way to for me to look and extrapolate the movie, looking at Han Solo, looking at how Harrison Ford portrays him, and says, wow, you know what? He is the anomaly of everyone. Everyone is, together. You have Obi-Wan, the Jedi Master, with his young pupil, and Princess Leia and her involvement with them, and here's Han Solo, hovering over here, but he fits because he decides to fit. Great film. Of course, it's one of the best films ever, one of the best science fictions. But if you take time to look and really think about who Han Solo was and how Harrison Ford portrayed him, and how he is, a captain of his own soul, his own destiny. I am man and I will do this. Great way to portray that. Okay. Well, next movie, of course, I have to mention these movies because these are iconic films. They're, my favorite films. I love to watch them over and over. But, it's everyone's favorite films. And this next one made him a superstar. Of course, I'm talking about the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it caught everyone's imagination. It came at such a great moment where it was, of course, it was adventurous. It had war. It had, great fight scenes. It had a great storyline. It had the supernatural. It had all these things that fit perfectly into a wonderful little story. An old story that you would sit back and just, watch. What I would like to call it's like a popcorn movie. Man, this is great. There wasn't anything overly violent, overly sexual. It was just, a wonderful film about wonderful, characters involved in real life, taken from real life. Well, as we know, he plays Professor Jones. He's an archaeologist, and he's also a professor. And so, he goes about, making sure, that things that should be in a museum are kept there, and his college finances him. And how the story goes is that the government approaches him and asks him what he knows about the Ark of the Covenant and so on and so forth. And he tells them, well, the Israelites, as they came out of Canaan, they carried the Ark of the Covenant, and that made them invincible. And the agents tell him, well, that's what the Nazis think, and the Nazis think if they can find it, because we know that they were always looking for ancient relics, because they had this following of this occult. The occult mentality, if we can do these things of what the ancients used to do, we will become invincible and have a 1,000-year reign. So he agrees to go and find this particular piece. An old friend of his, Abner, had this large medallion that would show exactly where the ark would be. So he has to go, and he goes to Nepal, and he finds his old friend's, the friend's name's Abner, his daughter, Miriam, portrayed wonderfully by Karen Allen. She has that wonderful aspect of being feminine, being strong, and we know about the drinking scenes and everything. So he goes there. She says, "Yeah, come back," but she hates him because they had a love affair and he left her. But she has the medallion. And as we know, when he leaves, in comes one of the scariest characters in all of Indiana Jones. Was it Tout? He's the Gestapo. He's portrayed by Ron Lacey. He has that look to him, what you would think the Gestapo looked like, and he talks like this, and he wants, the medallion as well. And so, as we know, he's about to burn her. Here comes Indiana Jones. They fight. He rescues her. He finds the medallion. As we know, the medallion got hot. Ron Lacey tried to reach for it with his hand and burn the medallion into one side of the medallion into his hand. And so, long story short, Indy finds the medallion, goes to Egypt. Miriam's with him, and they have all sorts of casts of characters that now come in. And of course, we get Salah. His old friend and wonderful actor, John Rhys-Davies. Anything he does, great actor. And of course, behind him is Balak. We saw him in the beginning. He's the one that took the idol away from Indiana Jones after the big boulder comes down. So he's portrayed by Paul Freeman. Great actor. And just want to mention one other actor. Denholm Elliott. He plays Andy's good friend, Marcus Brody. And, Denholm Elliott, again, one of those wonderful actors that was around for many years. By this time, he was already a great established actor. But just wanted to mention them. So, a little different take on it. It's, I'm describing the movie. Many of us know what ends up happening. So the Nazis find the Ark of the Covenant. Indiana Jones is trying to battle and get it back. At one point he gets it, they take it back, they capture Miriam, so on and so forth. But again, one of the things that I like to do, like the way I do with Star Wars, is look at the film in a different light, where we know for a fact that the Nazis actually did have people looking for ancient relics because they believe in the occult powers. And here you have the Nazis doing that. And you have Indiana Jones, who believes and doesn't believe. He there's other stories where that's a question to him, gets put to him. So tell me, Mr. Jones, what do you believe? But anyways, he doesn't really battle along the way with what he believes or not. It seems as if he is always in a state of believing, because the Ark of the Covenant is an actual thing to him. It is an actual relic. He's seen it. He found it. He touched it. All these things. And by, as the movie progresses, he never questions if, this is real or it doesn't, or if it's not real. It is always in his mind that it is real and it is true. I'm trying, he never gets into, theological debates. But there comes a point, as we know, when it gets open and he tells Miriam, don't look at it. Don't look at it. And they don't look at it, and all this supernatural stuff happens. But one of the things what I liked about it, again, he wasn't questioning, he just knew. And he knew that these things did have power. And they knew that these untangible things did do work. So, in regards to that, that's what I like about it. Again, each movie gave you something deeper to look for, deeper to find out about these characters and the storyline, because you can watch it over and over and say, I missed that the first 20 times I saw this. Or, hey, have you looked at it like this? Great writing by Lucas and Spielberg to give you more to think about than just, this is a cute little popcorn movie. Yeah, it was, and it is, but you can make it a deeper journey for yourself to look, to find out, actual truths that are, that relate to real life. All right, last movie. Again, it's already considered one of the best sci-fi films ever. It didn't do well when it first came out, but it ended up getting a cult following, and now people just love it. They look at it and they say, wow, what a great film. Of course, I'm talking about Blade Runner. He plays Deckard, Rick Deckard. He is a retired Blade Runner. And the story begins that it's funny, it's 2019. So, being the year where we're at today, that's really close. So by 2019, Los Angeles, America, and Los Angeles in particular, is, overblown in population. Huge monolithic buildings, similar, pyramid structures. Even back then, they were saying that the Asians were going to overrun, Asian culture and Asian economy was going to overrun the United States, because as we know, everything is Asian dominated in the film. And so, he's in this dark and gloomy Los Angeles, and he is like I mentioned, is a retired Blade Runner. And a Blade Runner is someone who hunts down humanoid type robots. It's against the law for robots to be here on, I believe, the whole Earth. And they have to be off-world, if I remember correctly, not just the city, off-world. And if they happen to come here, they had people who had to hunt them down. Well, what we discover is that there were four particular robots that were the most advanced. They're Nexus 6. They're the highest form of robotics, and they've come to Earth, specifically Los Angeles, and the police want Harrison Ford to find them because he was the best, but he's retired. And we have the police chief, another great actor, who portrayed him, E. Emmett Walsh. He always had this ability to be like, he always had his smile on his face, but he could have this look where, he's thinking something sinister, or, don't cross him. Great. He plays the police chief that tells Harrison Ford, you have no choice, you got to do this. And then he has an assistant, Gaff. You wonder what he has. He has these wide eyes, and he walks with a cane and a fedora, and he does origami. Portrayed wonderfully by another great actor. Edward James Olmos plays Gaff. He's always telling. It was goes get Harrison Ford. Hey, they want you, and Harrison Ford's just like, it seems like he wants to deck him or something. But anyways, he has to find the robots, because the previous Blade Runner was killed. He goes to this the corporation called the Tyrell Corporation. And another great actor, Joe Turkel. He plays Dr. Tyrell, and he wants he has Harrison Ford interview a young lady, and he wants to see if his machine works. So and the young lady, her name is Rachel. She comes in, and she looks like a 1930s glamour movie star, and Harrison Ford interviews her, and after a while, he turns to Dr. Terrell and says, "This is great. But she's a robot, isn't she?" And he goes, "Yeah, she is. She's our most advanced prototype. She's an experiment." And what's important, it's a great scene that you have to watch. There's a couple of scenes. In that one, Terrell, they begin to talk about the robots that are out and about, the Nexus 6. And he says, what we've done with her is that they've only have a short lifespan, but we gave her memories, so instead of not having any points of reference for her to give a response to, because the test was a type of test that showed the response. Humans have a certain response to certain questions, robots don't, because they have no empathy, basically. And what the doctor did was he said we gave her memories so she could have a point of reference and bring about a form of empathy. And so, but it took a while for Harrison Ford to figure out that she was a robot. But Dr. Terrell tells him something, which is, we try to build them, but we found, he doesn't explain it, but it alludes to it. He says, there was an anomaly to them. They were dissatisfied. Something happened to them. And this is where, again, like I talked about the other films, you can go a little deeper. And as I'm watching it and I'm seeing the scene, my thought has always been, I know the anomaly that happened to them. Because as you watch the film, and I'll describe it a little bit, that weird thing that happened to them is that they were trying to become human. They're trying to discover their humanity. So Harrison Ford, after leaving there, talks with Sean Young. Oh yes, by the way, Sean Young, she plays Rachel, a robot that is trying to comprehend: am I a human? Am I not? What am I? Great. I think she did a great job of this. So Harrison Ford, is trying to track down the other robots. He finally gets. Because he knows of one, Leon. He's the one who killed the former Blade Runner. Another great character actor. He was in movies for a long time. Brian James. Yeah, he had a great ability to play a great bad guy, but he had a great actor. Great actor. He could do anything. So he finds bits and pieces. He finds one of the other robots, Zora, played by Joanna Cassidy, another wonderful actress. She did so many great films. It's still a wonderful talent. Finds her, which leads her to Leon, and then you have two other robots. Of course, we have Pris, and portrayed wonderfully by Daryl Hannah. She does all these backflips and so on and so forth. And of course, the other main robot, who's basically the leader of the whole group. His name's Roy, and portrayed, of course, by the great Rutger Hauer, another great actor. I mean, fantastic actor. So Harrison Ford is hunting them down, and I don't want to give too much away, but he ends up getting them all. But again, I don't want to focus on the film, but the subtext, of what the film is really about, because it's based on a book written back in the 60s, and there are little things that you have to know about the book that will make sense in the film, like the animals and such. But one of the things I want to really focus on is, again, and it happens with Harrison Ford because he gets it, because Rutger Hauer is trying to show him what he's meaning. Well, there's one scene I just want to mention real quick, that Sean Young meets Harrison Ford, and they're kind of talking, and Harrison Ford's talking about the test that he conducts, and she asks him, "Have you ever taken the test?" And he doesn't answer because he ends up falling asleep. But the implication is that, is he a robot and he doesn't know it? And you know, as throughout the years, you always hear people say the debate. You know, is he human? Is he a robot? And so on and so forth. Anyways, I have my own idea on that, but you know, I'll save that one. But there comes a scene, and this is what I want to talk about again. But the film is Rutger Hauer is trying to. They only have a life expectancy of 4 years, so he's trying to find how he can extend his life. And there's a scene where Rutger Hauer is talking about the things that he has seen. These eyes have seen this world, have seen this. And Harrison Ford's listening to him. Which leads me back, when you hear that speech, and Harrison Ford, you could see him start becoming empathetic, which is great because it's like a test, you know, the test of empathy. Here he is listening to Rutger Hauer saying this, and you can see him that he's understanding, and it draws me back to what Dr. Terrell said in the beginning. There's a glitch. There's something happening in them that we're trying to, you know, figure out. So what it was that they were trying to drive out the humanity. Rutger Hauer is trying to explain to Harrison Ford, the things I have seen will be gone. As soon as I die, they'll be gone. Which you can see Harrison Ford is realizing the things I've seen and the great things I've done, the mistakes I've done, will be gone when I die. You know, and it's a another great film to really look at, because here it is. You know, if you look at it in today's context, you know, humanity is trying to evolve personality into a robot. You know, you get so many people that are like robotic, unemotional. But the thing that makes humanity great, it's its empathy, it's its emotion. And here it is in a robot who's trying to be human, to convey to a human, I understand what it is to be like you. And a human saying, wow, I can see how you actually have become like human. Amazing. You know, great story. Again, you know, these films, if you look at it deeper, you can draw so many great analogies for them. Like I said, Han Solo, with everyone having their own destiny. And here he is, free will. I choose. I'm the captain of my own soul. You know, Indiana Jones. They're looking at it in regards to, there are so many things in this fantastic world that we have no idea how they're connected, but they're real, and there's more to it, and we just have to keep our mind open. And there are some things that we just know. Sun shines, the moon rises, and there are other things that, you know, we have to try to understand. And Blade Runner, searching for humanity. You know, fantastic. And each film, of course, he portrays them wonderfully. You know, he captures, you know, the character and the moments so that we can really, you know, be a part of the movie and get attached to the characters. Fantastic, fantastic movies. Of course, these are just some of the, some of his films. Tons of them. But you know, that's what I got for you today. This has been Gus Summers, and you've been watching In-Show Celebrities. This is the time I take every Monday to talk about some of my favorite films and actors. Of course, remember, don't forget to catch us every Thursday at theinshow.com, where I host The In-Show. And I bring on celebrities and guests just to talk about, you know, whatever it is that's on their minds and any projects they have. Of course, look for us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Flickr, Instagram, all those great social media sites. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, Gus has left.